सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। कटाक्षकिरणाचान्त नमन्मोहाब्धये नमः। अनन्तानन्दकृष्णाय जगन्मङ्गलमूर्तये। पेज 40, श्लोक नंबर 10। supte'hami न दृश्यन्ते दुःखदोषप्रवृत्तयः atastasyaiva saṃsārः न मे saṃsartṛsākṣiṇaḥ। In yesterday's shloka, we looked into what exactly is the nature, of the two kinds of aham. The top one, please turn it off, it makes a lot of sound. No, the other one. Thank you. That is turned off. So in yesterday's shloka, we saw the ahankara and the aham tattva, how they are two completely different padartha. But then there can be a very serious question arising: how does even one make a difference? From what standpoint am I looking at? Because the ahankara parallelly exists along with the Chaitanya Tattva. How do I know or ascertain that it is not my intellect enlivened with that reflected consciousness functioning, and I am wrongly assuming that it is the Chaitanya Tattva? Because there seems to be hardly a difference. That similarity, how do we know that two factors which seemingly coexist, what is the difference? When in the earlier shloka we said that parinama, parichheda, paritapa belongs to the ahankara, the idam matihi, idam dhiyaha, because we function from the idea of this which is filled in our intellect, this that which we consider as ourselves. If there is salt and sugar mixed, how do you differentiate it? Mistakes happen. I was at the receiving end when somebody poured a cup of tea and added salt in it. My only comment was, this tastes like a Tibetan tea. In the Tibetan tea, which is a very different flavor, they add the yak milk, yak butter, which is protected by adding a lot of salt. So I said, this tea kind of reminds me of that. I said, Swamiji must have tasted something and maybe it is exotic. When they started drinking it, then they understood, oh goodness, this has no sugar in it, it has the salt in it. See, earlier you used to get sugar which was, granular, so you could make the difference. Nowadays that white sugar comes in as much the similar format as the salt, and both being in the same cabinet, it sometimes is very confusing. And what if both of them are mixed? How do you separate it? This situation of us trying to ascertain which witness is it? Is it the Pratibimba Chaitanya enlivened intellect which is witnessing the rest of it, which is grosser than it? Or is it the witness of the Supreme, which is Atma Chaitanya, witnessing even that intellect? Is there a difference? Can there be a difference? So he says, he doesn't waste words in trying to introduce. If without this prelude to this shloka, you suddenly start reading, it seems so disjoint and disconnect from the earlier verse. So he says, supte'hami na dṛśyante duḥkhadoṣapravṛttayaḥ atastasyaiva saṃsāro na me saṃsartṛsākṣiṇaḥ. So the direct analysis that he is proposing is, as long as our mind is awake, that is like the operating system. What will happen if there is no operating system in the mobile phone? It is a costly paperweight. It cannot be used for anything else. The mind has to be functional when it goes out and interacts with the world. Therefore, when in the Yoga Shastra, the first sutra or the second sutra, Yogaha Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Yoga means to remove the vritti of chitta. That is what it directly translates to be. So the people immediately translate it as to reach the no mind state, though that is not the intent. The gravity of it, that statement, increases when you read Bhagavan Veda Vyasji's Bhashya on that Yoga Sutras. He says that within the vritti, which is the thought, we do not have a problem with that kind of thought which we are consciously enabling. Willed thought. Now, whether it turns ugly, beautiful, horrifying, you own the responsibility of it because you have triggered it, you have consciously started it. What seems to be the problem is the unwilled thought. Because of the pressure of vasanas, it keeps leaking. And we have absolutely no control over it. So, chitta vritti nirodha is that unwilled thought that has to be completely annihilated, and it is a possibility. The mind and its functionality is not annihilated. It is not a vegetative state. Because if the mind is not functional, you are in a vegetative state. And there in the Yoga Sutras, it is not definitely talking about the vegetative state, the non-functional of the mind. That is not what is being indicated. So as soon as the mind becomes available, the entire field of experience is enlivened, along with its repercussions of good, bad, ugly, horrifying, disgusting, all of it. Therefore, some people, when they are in the middle of serious problem, the pressure of that problem is so high. I've seen this and I wonder how they are able to do it. To escape from that pressure, they say, Baba, I'll go sleep. I cannot handle it. Have you ever come across such people? Until I get a resolved direction, I cannot sleep personally. But there are these people, they cannot handle that pressure, and the only way to get out of that pressure is sleep. Why? In that sleep, the mind is completely dissolved or absorbed. It reaches to a state of non-functionality. But as long as it is functional, it not only has the capacity to recognize all this, that which we call as a field of experience, but also has the capacity to project all kinds of dreams. Though most of the dreams are born out of our own cognized or non-recognized vasanas, patterns that which we have developed, but it is still the realm of our mind function. So when I say this Jagrata Avastha and the Sushupti Avastha is recognized, there is Chit, the conscious principle, then there is the Antakarana, predominantly the intellect, in which there is a reflection. Therefore, there is Pratibimba Chaitanya, and that Pratibimba Chaitanya first enlivens the intellect then is as though enlivening the mind, then the organs of perception, action, then we start recognizing the world, whether it is the waking world or the dream world, Jagrat or Sushupti. All of these components are necessary to be in place so that I can have a cognizable experience. Whenever I say experience, I think it is in Mandukya Karika, one place, he says, what are you talking about 3 avasthas? There are only 2 avasthas. One is that where there is mind functional, one that is where mind is not functional. And he says, I refuse to call the Sakshi, the Atma Chaitanya, as an avastha, because it is not an avastha. It doesn't go and come. It is there, on which the other 2 avasthas keep happening. He says it is unnecessary complication to say there is Jagrata Avastha, there is Swapna Avastha, then there is Sushupti Avastha. There is functional mind avastha, there is a non-functional mind avastha. So in that functional mind avastha, whether it is Jagrata or Swapna, the entire complex, there has to be Chaitanya, Pratibimba Chaitanya, the intellect, the mind, the organs of perception, action, and the field of experience. All of this makes it an experience. So it almost reminds me of this Amma. I had gone to their house for Bhiksha, a young professor, little children. So she is introducing the entire family. I said, this is my husband, so and so, this is my first child. And then she opened the bedroom and there was a little fellow sleeping. And I says, he is my sweetest, peaceful one, as long as he is sleeping. He wakes up, he is a handful tornado, a mini tornado. But the way she introduced was funny. She said, he is the most peaceful one, provided he is sleeping. We also have a lot of peace when we are sleeping. But then when we are awake, every turn and twist of our experience jolts us from within. When I say jolts, even the laughter comes only out of a jolt. Even I am saying a joke. As I am narrating it, you are also visualizing it. Until the last line. What happens in that last line? You have visualized something, that this should be the end of it. But then it has a twist in it, and that twist is what jolts us. That way. And we start giggling at it. When that jolt that we go through, it is at a handleable range. It's okay. But most of it seems to be completely distorted because what I am expecting and what is ending up happening is completely too different. Then it leads to turbulence, it leads to irritation, it leads to agitation, it leads to frustrations. Then there is dukkha. Constantly there are these, swinging experiences that we go through. Both in the waking as well as in the dream world. But what happens when we sleep? I'm talking of sushupti avastha, deep sleep. In that deep sleep, all of this functionality is withdrawn. There is no identity because the identifier is also asleep. When the intellect which reflects this Pratibimba Chaitanya itself is absorbed, where is the scope for the ahankara to exist, the ego to exist? There is no Pratibimba Chaitanya anymore. All the different turbulations that which my mind projects are also withdrawn. That's why when somebody is in deep pain, agony, whether physical or psychological, what do? They put them in such medication wherein they go to sleep. When there is a huge loss, whether it is a property loss or a human loss, unfathomable pain and agony that they are going through. Or there is a physical, accident or something that has happened and the pain becomes unbearable. The medications are such that it knocks them out. See, in India, we don't prescribe that much of pain medication. in US, for every little thing it has a very high dose. I'm trying to remember those names of those medications. I'm looking at the doctor. Opiates, Valium, fentanyl, the technical words. So he has those words. For what I had gone through, maybe in an accident, 3 months straight, they gave me a package of that medicine that you take and you see your mind slip away within 3 minutes. That you take it and mind becomes dull, it becomes drowsy, and you don't know when it has knocked you out. When that which is receiving that pain is knocked out, you are at relief. In Sushupti Avastha, there is no intellect, no mind, everything is dissolved. It goes into sleep. That which is reflecting when it is gone into a non-functional state, what happens to the reflection? There is no reflection. But yet, there is a state which has been cognized where the non-functionality is also recognized. So Sushupti Avastha is the best logical understanding, not while you are going through it, to analyze in a Vedantic structure, which very clearly proves to us that I as the conscious principle, I as the witness, continue to persist, even when that which is my secured environment of identity is withdrawn. So in one class, to Balavihar kids, I think it was in a camp. In the end of summer, we used to have Balavihar camp. Actually, 2 sets of camps. And in that camp, I was explaining Sushupti Avastha, and for the kids to understand. So I said, Sushupti Avastha is where only Bhagavan is. The ego is asleep. So you are closest to Bhagavan in your sleep. This is one statement I made. That somehow clicked with the entire group. After the camp, I started receiving calls from the parents. Swami ji, camp mein kya sikhaya aapne? We are having a big problem at home. I said, what happened? The kids unanimously decided, it seems, that you should not disturb us when we are in sleep. Why? We are closest to Bhagavan. They said, do your chores. No, I am going closest to Bhagavan. And they go sleep. How do I answer them? I said, the best way is they have to wake up and they have to come for food and water at least. Then you can tell them that it is better if they continue being closest to Bhagavan. Let Bhagavan take care. Or even better, when they are hungry, you go sleep and say, now it is my time to be closest to Bhagavan. That will straighten them out. The point being that when we are asleep, there is nothing but I the Chaitanya only, I the Sakshi only. There is nothing else. There is no reflected consciousness because the reflecting surface itself is not there. supte'hami na dṛśyante duḥkhadoṣapravṛttayaḥ. All the pain, sorrow, misery and agony that which we face, dukkha and its aberrations, such pravrittis are completely gone. I am disconnected. Imagine if I am able to disconnect with that pain, with that sorrow, with that misery, and that is when I go to sleep. What kind of a warped up situation that we are existing in, that as soon as I wake up, I tend to go back to that identity and create that pain and associate with it. How powerful, how strong is that memory of ours, that we drag that burden into that newer experience. It's not that we have not disconnected. When people say, how do I disconnect with my emotions? I say, I don't need to teach you, sleep. You have disconnected. But then they say, while awake, how do I disconnect? If you are having the capacity to disconnect and thereby you have sleep, that means the technology is already known. The same technology has to be applied, that though that memory is there, the mind is awake, mind is alert, and yet you apply that disconnect. But then we have various levels of our thinking pattern. There was one Amma who was feeling sorrowful about her loss. Her husband passed away, and even after a year and a half, she was still agonizingly crying over it. When she was in a little, conversable kind of a state of mind, she said, Amma, why are you continuing it? She says, maybe Swamiji, not that she had clarity, but the way she put it, she said, maybe Swamiji, if I don't agonize, I have a feeling that I don't love my husband enough. It is not about he receiving it at the receiving end because he is not there, but me experiencing it, I feel bad that if I stop agonizing, that means I have stopped loving him. Where loving and agonizing has nothing to do with each other. Warped thinking. I can disconnect with the dukkha and its aberrations, all those thought patterns, when I am in my deep sleep. Na dṛśyante, they're not even available for us to get agitated with. Why? Supte'hami. In the sleep, into that conscious principle, all of these things have ceased to be. They have been absorbed. Therefore, there is no pain, sorrow, misery, nothing of it is available. Ataha, therefore he says, atastasyaiva saṃsāraha. Tasyaiva, it is to that ahankara that all this samsara belongs. What does samsara mean? Samyak sarati. The various definitions, but the one that will fit in nicely here is samyak sarati. Sarati See, the smaller rivers, they are called sarita. Sarita means that which is constantly trickling. Sarati, trickling. Samyak sarati. One miserable experience after the other, to the other, to the other, to the other, to a point wherein we have been habituated to these constant movements that we don't understand that that is also something which is sorrowful. Hunger, is it sorrowful? No, it is a sign for us to go eat. What if that food was not available? It then immediately escalates to become the source of sorrow. What if you are getting thirsty and the water is not available? See, when you are on the higher plains, like when you are trekking around Manasarovar, Kailash, the body, though it is cold, but because of that height and the layers that you are in, the body constantly dehydrates. So you drink a lot of water. Having reached to a certain height, one Amma was feeling so exhausted. I said, what happened? I said, I'm feeling dehydrated. So it is not like the ocean where they say water, water everywhere, not a single drop to drink. It is ice, ice everywhere. Snow-capped mountains, but not a single drop to drink. Luckily I gave. Until that moment, thirst is also sorrow. See, while you sit, you have come early, you have chosen a seat and you sit down, but as people trickle in, sarati, they sit and immediately that becomes a block for your viewing. Yes, you shift yourself, you move to another chair so that the head or the camera or something doesn't block your view. But at that fraction of a moment when that person sits right in front of you, blocking you, बैठा रे, अब मेरे को उठना है. That very thing, isn't it agitation? We don't stop at recognizing it and not reacting to it. As soon as we recognize, we react also. Dosha. We are actually crossing our fingers and that fellow is coming and saying, he should not sit right in front of me, he should not sit right in front of me. If he sits right in front of me, I have to... Agitation has already started. We are not even recognizing that that is an agitation. Am I getting across? Now Amma got up and turned the fans on. It is not that it is hot, therefore there has to be fan. It is stale because there is no air circulating. Am I right? As soon as that recognition happens, there is a agitation. Bye, it is getting a little stale. Get up. It is born not of recognition but out of agitation. All these variations, dṛśyante, there has to be a pravritti and then we act upon that pravritti. None of these are available during sleep. to such a point wherein if I sit in a wrong posture, I can only tolerate it to a certain extent. In sleep, what posture? You should see the kids when they sleep. Vibhinna mudrahe. How they sleep. And sometimes I wonder as to how are you able to sleep in that position? One kid that I recently saw in somebody's house sleeping very nicely in a crib. The legs are split. Okay, the legs, one leg this side, one leg that side, and the body is it's a very uncomfortable posture. How do you manage to be in that position? It is the most uncomfortable posture that you are sleeping through it. Sometimes we also find ourselves, we must have slept in a wrong posture, that the nerve or the muscle has that discomfort for a very long time, or the hand that you have put to support your neck, and when you wake up, you are like a stiff image. If somebody calls you Swamiji from the left side, you are like not turning the head. It is like the entire torso has to move. Why? Because of the discomfort. But you are not able to experience that discomfort while you are in your sleep, while it was happening. Sometimes we have the habit of putting the cell phone or something right next to us until the phone started buzzing with the alarm. You didn't realize that entire face was on that cell phone. Such a discomfort that when you wake up, there is a mudra of that cell phone on your face. Cell phone or your mala or your Mangal Sutra or whatever is the chain or something, there is a nice mark of it on your face. It will go away, but that is such a discomfort, and you slept through that discomfort that there is no one to even recognize it. Duḥkhadoṣapravṛttayaḥ gone. Therefore, all of these movements, saṃsāro, samyak sarati, all these movements and the reactions to those movements exist and persist as long as there is a mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankara functioning. And I continue to exist even when they are not functioning. That which I disconnect with, which I consider as my very secure identity, I completely disconnect from it. If I can do it once, I can repeat it also. Yes, Swamiji, during the class also we repeat it. Now, I am not talking of repeating the sleep. The act of disconnecting while the mind is still awake, isn't that called sadhana? But for which I had to recognize it first. That there is this movement happening. All that I have to pay attention is, am I associated, attached with it, or am I detached with it? But we don't seem to pay attention to it. But we get associated, attached, and completely thrown across with that movement. When do we realize? Posthumous reality, after that whole thing has happened. Oh, I got carried away. That's such a wrong statement. You cannot get carried away by that which is being supported by you. You are the one that is actually carrying it. It is like sitting in the train. We were quite energetic and mischievous kids growing up. So in the train, when we would, what do you call that? When we go for vacations, LTC. So they will provide. So in that train we are sitting, we are super energetic. Somewhere there is. So my mother would say, I think the train is going slow. I remember this, like very vivid in my, the train is going slow. Why don't you both, start pushing it? So sitting in the train, get off the seat and then look at which direction the train is going, and towards that very direction, that seat, we start pushing it. And now encouraged, I think it is picking up speed, and then more force. Now thinking of it, how stupid were we? That which is carrying us, we are assuming as though we are giving it the force to. That sarana, the movement can happen only if I, the conscious principle, is supporting it. Without my support, without my association with it, it cannot have a movement. Therefore, while we sit on the seat of contemplation or japa, they said, don't try to fight with your thoughts. But gandhi aadat ye hai that we start not just associating, we start evaluating it. There were so many bad thoughts. When you say there were bad thoughts, that means you have cognized it and started evaluating it. That is when you knew what the content was. We don't have to go into that trip at all. Good, bad, ugly, doesn't matter if there is a thought movement. Disassociate and watch it, it will drop. It cannot continue further. उसमें उतनी सत्ता है ही नहीं. It is matter. And what is the matter? With the matter, it stays in that state of movement or inertia, unless there is something that is enabling it with force. Now Chandu Bhai comes early in the morning, arranges these chairs, goes out, comes back, and the chairs have moved. Is it a possibility? Unless there is something who has consciously put the effort to move it. Because that is matter. It doesn't have its own swata siddhatva, its own support system for it to move, or its own energy to move. Even in the inner world, the thought is matter and it does not have the satta to move. I, the conscious principle, the witnessing Chaitanya, is the one that is providing it. How can that which I am supporting carry me away? Then people say, you should speak with kids. They will challenge all your logics. Swamiji, how about car? You are sitting in it, but it is carrying you, right? It cannot dumbly carry me anywhere that it wants to. There is no it wants there. I, the conscious principle, have to decide its speed, its direction, its movement, without which it cannot move. I chose to sit in it to be moved. When you are choosing it, you shouldn't have a problem with it, because you have made a choice. Come to peace with it. Because you have made a choice. It is your responsibility how you face it. But it by itself, when I sit in it, it cannot move. As I said, kids challenge you. What about automated car? Which you don't need to drive. Papa, even the automated car, I have to first flip that switch, enter the direction, give it instructions. See, even on your Google Maps, it cannot take whichever direction, it will give you options. These are the 3 or 4 different kinds of roads that take you to the destination. Like from here to Malakpet, I go daily. I am exploring all possible ways. The route that was told to me was from here you go to the Abits, Koti, Chadarghat, Malakpet. I have been taking all kinds of funny routes just to explore. So when I type it in, it gives 4 or 5 different routes. It says this is 2 minutes slower, that is 5 minutes faster. But the route given to me is longer. Though it is longer, it will take you quick. If I am to live in this city, I better know all the routes. I said, let me explore. I am the one making a choice there. If there I go get stuck in a narrow lane or some construction, I cannot beat myself up because I made the choice. Come to peace with it. The samsarana, the movement happens only because I have permitted it to move. Without my permission, it cannot. Did it happen that suddenly you woke up and you were in this chair? Don't tell me yes, that will freak me out. You have made a conscious effort. You have made a conscious effort to get yourself up, get ready, move here, come through, walk or whatever was the means, and then place yourself. You've made a choice. Every single movement is a choice, whether I want to own it up or not. That is a different case. पता नहीं स्वामी जी हो गया, ऐसा कैसे होगा? See, we have accustomed ourselves to this irresponsible behavior, wherein we end up saying, I don't know, it just happened. I am not recognizing that I have made a choice. And one stupid word that we have invented, sorry. You are not actually sorry because you have consciously done it. You are not ready to recognize that you have started it. Yes, you have to be sorry to yourself. Am I getting across? See, sometimes mistake may happen when you react reflex. You are standing there looking something deep into the book or reading something in your text. You didn't realize that there was somebody already inside. And they didn't even mean to startle you. They just walk. And you not realizing that there was somebody already here. And sometimes when they are too close and you out of reflex, you move your hand. Understandable. The rest of the entire field of our movement happens when the reflected consciousness functions through this mind and intellect. That is when we act. I am the one providing that source for that movement. There are no accidents in this world. There are accidents, or that which we call as accidents are that which we are not able to ascertain the source yet. Vedanta says that is you alone the trigger to it. So what happens? The entire responsibility of movement comes back squarely to that ahankara, that jiva alone. Therefore, in our Shastra, we do not create the fear for God. भगवान है डरो, हम नहीं बोलते. It is your actions that you have to be careful about. Many people find it very ridiculous that after performing a beautiful Satyanarayana Puja, at the end there are 5 stories. You have read those stories, right? You at least must have heard the abridged version which the Pujari. Each one of the story, there is some repercussion because of something. It is not that God is punishing you. Your own forgetfulness, your own non-awarefulness of that situation will lead to such results. Otherwise, we have this nice way of escaping, saying, "Pata nahi Swami ji, Bhagwan क्यों कर रहा है ऐसे?" अरे भगवान को और कोई काम धंधा नहीं है क्या? That he is eagerly waiting. अब कर, एक लगाता हूँ. No. It is squarely my responsibility because for that moment, that samsarana, I have caused it as the ego, as the ahankara, as the jivatva. There will be repercussions for it. So all of this movement belongs only to that ego. If we understand this, if we truly get the grasp of it, I don't have to plan, envision and do something. That which is unfolding as my own triggers that have triggered and expressing as my prarabdha, to face it in such a way that I disconnectedly face it. I don't have to plan something supreme, grand. There is already a grand that I have started. Just facing it. But how? Disconnectedly, detachedly function through it. Knowingly, unknowingly, awarefully, unawarefully, I have triggered these things. At least moving forward, I should make sure that there are no more such patterns that I create henceforth. See, somebody who has not heard this Siddhanta keeps doing it, understandable. Ayyo papam. Teliga chestunnadu. What should we call of us people who understand, read through this Vedanta and still create patterns and patterns and patterns of what? Of the vyavahara which is being triggered by me, which will have its repercussions. Whose does it belong to, all of this? He says, tasyaiva, to that ego, to that jiva, to that ahankara. Name samsratihi. Me, the conscious principle, does not have any samsara. Why? I am only sakshi. Now when I say sakshi, I am not even putting the effort to be witnessing it. See, when the sun is illumining, he is not trying to put an effort to illumine. In his presence, all of it gets illumined. For the last 5-6 days, it has been raining, pouring. Today it has stopped. You will see the sun today. So we all of us made a committee. Go thank Bhagwan Surya. You have put this beautiful sun rays for us. When that light and rays hit us, we are blessed, basking in that beautiful brightness. Sun pareshan hoinga. Right? You see it as sun's rays, sun's light, separate from the sun. For him, it is not separate, and there is no effort. It is his own extension and expansion. ले जाके एक शॉल उड़ा के, फूल माला दे के, thank you for your rays, thank you for your light, thank you for the warmth that it provides. I am not doing anything specific, I am not doing at all. It is the nature to expand in this brightness. You happen to come in its way, therefore you are illumined. When I say witness, it is not an act as though somebody is trying to witness it. In its presence, it happens. Does the chair reflect your face? It does. You sit in an angle, you will see an outline of it at least. It does. It is not clear. When you stand in front of the mirror, does it reflect? Yes. With utmost minute detailed reflection, it is very clear. Why? Because it is its nature to reflect. Some reflect it with dullness, some reflect it with sharpness. Is it doing any act that it has to prepare as soon as you go in front of it? Wait a second. Let me compose myself so that I can reflect you sharply. Nothing. Therefore, when people take photos and they say, take one more photo, ye acha nahi aaya. It was not as though there was an actor sitting there trying to decide that, there should be that crooked moment of yours, that is when I'll take the photo. It is the manufacturer's defect. It will only take what is. It will not take what is not. There is no actor involved there. Similarly, the conscious principle, which is the witness, Sakshi, it is not desperately trying to witness you. In its presence, it happens. All this movement called samsara, the reflection, the reflected surface, the identity, the identified elements, all of the movements of each one of this. Now, knowing this, will the reflection suddenly stop? To answer to your question, if I have realized, why does it continue? That is its nature to reflect. Does a realized Mahatma have reflected consciousness? How can there not be? Because there is an intellect. And because he is now completely abiding in the true self, therefore there is no attachment to that reflected consciousness, the complete distinct clarity. Therefore he is standing from that standpoint of clarity and saying, all these movements belong to that fellow called Jiva. Name samsratihi. There is no movement for me. But you are realized. So, yes, I am realized, but that which is reflecting, it is nature to reflect. मैं क्या करूं उसके लिए? And because it reflects, I now only am consciously aware that that reflection is not me, therefore there is not even an effort to detach. Sometimes during the sleep, we sleep in a certain position wherein one part of ours has become numb. As I turn, that numb part has fallen on my chest, and when it is something heavy, you suddenly wake up. And when you realize that it was your own hand, do you put an effort to detach that hand? No. The moment you realize, detachment has happened. There is no effort put to detach. That is only in the preparatory level. That detach from this, detach from that, don't see it, don't hear it, don't speak it, don't. For him there is no, it is effortless state of being to be in detached state, because he is the Sakshi. Hopefully I have conveyed it. Om Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, Sarve santu niramayaha, Sarve bhadrani pashyantu, Ma kaschit dukkhabhag bhavet, Asato ma satgamaya, Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, Mrityor ma amritangamaya. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate, Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.